We watched the game as a staff yesterday and evaluated it very critically. We always, as I say, start with ourselves and are we emphasizing the right things? Are we putting the guys in the right place? When they cross that line, are they confident in what they're doing? And then, do they execute? And, we came away with some positives and some negatives in all three phases. Just to review, we're doing some tremendous things on offense. We're scoring a lot of points. We're moving the ball really, really well. And what I talked to them about today, the improvement that we can make on offense, because we're always trying to look for ways to improve, is just ball security. We've had 10 turnovers, and 9 of those have been, well, one was for a touchdown, the other 8 were in the, our end of the field, so defense backed up. And we've had 7 on the road, so that's a point of emphasis offensively. And we talked about offensively, we talked about capitalizing on takeaways. We've had 6 takeaways and only been able to get 10 points out of it. So those are the 2 things that we need to do better there. The things that have been impressive, besides the things that we've all seen, is in the last 2 games, 2 sacks and 116 pass attempts. That's really outstanding. 48 true run plays. So in the NCAA, when you get sacked, they count it as a run and they take it away from run yardage, which is not really consistent with what running the ball is. So we've had 48 runs for 300 and something yards and just right under 7 yards a carry. So those are real positives. So we'll continue to try to build on those things right there and do a better job with the ball and a better job when we get takeaways. And to me, no one's really stopped us but us, and we can be better there as good as we're already playing. Defensively, we talked about 3 things defensively. Number 1, we talked about our tackling. Our tackling has not been up to par. And some of that is, pressuring and putting guys in angles that are tough to tackle and not maybe giving them enough looks at it during the week. So you always start with that reflection. Did we do the right thing? And then, are we giving them enough drills in practice, tackling? Oftentimes on run plays, it gets in scout team work, it gets stuffed at the line of scrimmage, and our DBs don't get any what we call, big open field tackles. So, giving them more opportunities to do that, so we're a better tackling defense, which will eliminate, the big runs against us. As we evaluate an explosive run, we've had 14 explosive runs in 4 games, which is not acceptable, as we all know, and that's what's led to these huge amounts of yardage against us in the run game. And then we've had the 2 screens for long yardage runs. A screen to me is kind of like a run, so that can improve, and it will improve. And then number 2, honing in on the details so that we create a feeling of trust amongst each other that a guy's going to be where he's supposed to be and you can count on him to be there. And so just honing in on the details, and then just continuing to try to elevate our effort and make it maniacal at all times. And then on special teams, we talked about 3 things as well. Our kickoff team needs to do a better job. JJ is a really excellent kickoff guy, and uncharacteristic of him the other night, he wasn't putting it deep like he normally does. When he put it at the +1 or the end zone, they never got past the 20. As a matter of fact, they started on the 20 once, and then we tackled them at the 16 twice, and they had holding, so they backed up to the 8. But when it wasn't in the end zone, we didn't do a good enough job of covering for him not getting it deep enough. So we have to be better there. And then we absolutely cannot get a kick block. And we evaluated why that happened. Were we stepping wrong? Were our eyes too low? Did we lean? All those things. And then we have to get our kickoff return game going. The last 2 games we've averaged 18 yards a kick return and 14.6 in this game, and that's just not good enough. And our guys work hard at it, and the scheme is good, and there's things there, and we're just so close. We're so close, but that's the difference. Being so close just isn't good enough. So as we move on to Colorado, those are the things that we're focusing on, besides preparing to play a team that's very much different than the one that we just played, especially on offense. So I think their attitude is great. I know, like I said after the game, we're all committed. We all take ownership. I take complete ownership. It's my responsibility. I take it very seriously, and just promise everyone that is a UCLA fan that we will do everything we can to get this thing going right. We're 2-2. We've got a lot of football left to play. I've seen that great competitors and really good teams, they respond in these situations. They do. Great competitors respond when there's some adversity facing them. That's what I know about people, and that's what I know about the great competitors. I've been so dang fortunate to be around, at all levels my entire life. And so I'm looking forward to seeing, where we go from here, and I'm excited about where we go from here. So,
would you consider making practice more physical in a way? Maybe, I don't know about live tackling, but
it's pretty physical right now. Without giving away like what we're doing every day, I'll tell you this, we wear pads typically 3 days a week. I don't think that's necessarily it. I think when you look at it, Ben, it's the open field stuff. It's not bringing our feet when we tackle or lunging or over pursuing, things like that. So, we try to practice as physical as we can. We're usually working against, defensively, you're talking about specifically, yeah. We're usually working against a service team, and those are some of the younger guys going, you get your third offensive line going against your first defensive line. It doesn't always get to the DBs. So we have to create some things with our linebackers and defensive backs where, they get in those situations where we can get more open field tackling, because it's not been good enough. And that has to start with us as coaches, putting those young men in positions in practice where they can get better at it.
So after the Pickett targeting ejection, do you see maybe that there's something psychologically going on where your players see like a normal football play and it leads to an ejection that sort of leads to something with the tackling?
I don't think so. I think that's a good question. I don't think so. I still am struggling at this point to understand what happened after everything. We were playing really well on both sides of the ball, and we were playing exceptional, defense for us this year, up until we had that field goal block. We dropped a touchdown that would have put us up 20-6, and then we had the field goal block. It would have put us 16-6, and then we were not good after that. So I think it was something there more than the targeting on pick. Yeah, I do.
Did they throw a flag on that play?
No.
Can they give you 15 yards if they don't throw a flag? Because I was watching the game earlier, they said they couldn't.
They did not throw a flag. This is a difficult one, and I think it's a real quandary for all of us, and I mean the players, the coaches, and the rule makers, because I think all of us have player safety as a priority, and I think we should, at all levels. But when you're talking about student athletes playing college football, I think that we even have to be more diligent than maybe they do at the NFL level, and as high school coaches, be even more diligent, and Pop Warner coaches be even more diligent. So we all have to have player safety as one of the premium objectives, but you still have to be able to play football. And on the play that Darius got ejected and the play that their guy got ejected, their left corner, I happened to be standing at the point of impact on both of them. And I just thought they were both really good football plays. They were very similar. Receiver caught a ball on a crossing route. He was getting ready to turn up. Tackler coming in. Ball carrier dropped down and lowered his point of impact into the defender. And then they call targeting. So I think the intentions are great. I just think that there needs to probably be more clarification. And then on top of that, like I said a couple weeks ago, the penalties are so harsh for the young men. I think that all of us can say, a 15-yard penalty, we'll take a 15-yard penalty, even if it's wrong, because that's part of the game. But eliminating a young man from a contest that they've worked so hard to play in, I think that's troublesome to me, and I hope that, and I believe that the NCAA will come to a resolution there.
One of the guys who's kind of gotten a little bit overlooked in this is Lasley. He's made a lot of good catches.
You know what, Ben, you're right. And, he came out the other night, and especially in the second half, he really turned it up. He ended up with 11 catches, as did Caleb. And, what I think you're seeing out of Jordan Lasley is a young man who's finding consistency and finding confidence and growing up at the right time because he is a playmaker. And, I can only recall one drop, and I think it was last week at Memphis. And then I saw him on the jugs, just like a madman after that. Catching it in weird position, not just standing there and catching the ball, but putting his body in the position that it was in when he dropped the ball. And you love to see that. Now you're seeing him going out and making plays. And I think he's just going to continue to grow as a young man, off the field and on the field. I'm really, really, really proud of that kid. Really proud. He's been through a lot. I'm really proud of him.
Did Sonny suffer a setback?
He's been struggling, as you guys know, and he wasn't suited up. We're going to try to manage that the best we can. I'll just be frank with you. We're not going to play him this week, and we're probably not going to practice him much. And we're going to give him this week and next week to really, we think, get recovered. And hopefully then for the last, 7 games. He's a guy that we can use. So it's been really frustrating for him. I feel awful for him. He came here with the expectations that he was going to be a certain way, and then when he got hurt in training camp, it's just he tries so hard to get back on the field that we haven't allowed his body, or he hasn't allowed his body to just be exactly right. So we've got to get him right.
Is it a recurrence of an old injury?
No, it might be a little wear and tear. But then it was something else. I think it's a lot of things. I think it's a big man with a lot of things. So we've just got to do a really good job of getting him back as quickly as we can and healthy. And sometimes the best thing to do is just take it all off and let him recover and then bring him back, rather than just say, fight through it. Some things you can't fight through. But we have to make the right decisions there.
The Pabico play. Do you think the whistle should have been blown on that one?
That's a tough one. Everyone's running down there and the pile's still surging. So I don't know. I don't know. I wish it'd been. Okay, but I don't know that it should have been. I think that's just a judgment call by the officials if they believe the impetus has stopped. And when I looked at it, I didn't think the impetus had stopped. So there was no way that I was going to contest that call. So.
Is that something coaching-wise where after the play you tell Christian not to try to fight for more yards now, or is it hindsight 2020?
Yeah, that's the rub. Is you love that on 3rd and 20 he goes in there, he catches it, and then he's fighting for it, and guys are coming down there pushing him. What you emphasize is you just at some point he has to cover the ball. He has to hold it high and tight. He has to tuck it. He has to get his elbow in, and then he has to cover it with the second hand. And then maybe if you're he's just so competitive. It's hard not to tell him to keep trying, but maybe at some point you just say, okay, I've got what I can get. I've got the first down. I'm feeling people all over me. Maybe I just let myself go back a little and the whistle blows. But in the heat of the moment, when you're a great competitor like, these young men are and Christian is, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. So.
You guys good?
Okay? All right. Thanks, everybody.